Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be taking on a really fascinating topic, one that could totally change the world as we know it. We're diving into the potential upside of powerful AI.
Okay.
You guys sent us this essay, Machines of Loving Grace.
Right.
And it's by Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic.
Yeah.
Now, Anthropic is an AI safety and research company, and Amodei, he's known for being pretty cautious about AI risk.
Yeah, he really is.
But in this essay, he kind of goes in a completely different direction.
Yeah, he does.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
He actually explores how AI could radically improve life, like dramatically improve life, within just 5 to 10 years
Wow.
of it hitting a certain capability threshold.
Yeah, that's what's so intriguing about this whole essay is that Amodei doesn't shy away from the practicalities of it.
Right.
He introduces this idea of marginal returns to intelligence, which is super interesting.
Cool.
And basically, he argues that AI's impact isn't going to be like this, instant magic. It all hinges on how well we can identify and address the bottlenecks to progress in different fields.
So let's dive into the essay and see what he actually envisions. One of the things that really struck me right off the bat was how specific he gets about this powerful AI. Like, we're not just talking about like a super smart computer that's like tucked away in a lab somewhere.
Right.
He's describing a system that can actually interface with the real world. Like, it can control robots, it can conduct experiments, basically acting as this digital workforce of geniuses.
Right, exactly. And he actually uses this really vivid phrase. He talks about a country of geniuses in a data center to really illustrate the scale of this AI's potential.
Right, like it's massive.
Yeah.
And they're working 10 to 100 times faster than us.
Yes. But, then he throws in this really intriguing caveat.
Yeah.
Even with this incredible intelligence at our disposal, he still thinks it'll take 5 to 10 years for the truly transformative effects to actually kick in.
So that's kind of our first big question then, right?
Yeah.
Like, why the lag? If this AI is as smart as Amodei claims it is,
Yeah.
why not instant revolution across every field?
Right. So that's where I think this concept of the marginal returns to intelligence really comes into play.
Okay.
Because Amodei's arguing that the raw intelligence of the AI isn't the only factor here. We also have to consider things like the pace of the physical world. Experiments and hardware development, they take time no matter how smart you are.
Sure.
And then there's the availability and the quality of data that's out there.
Yeah.
And even just human limitations like regulations or social acceptance, Those are all bottlenecks that can determine how quickly AI can actually be applied and scaled up to really get real world results.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's a good reminder that even with super intelligent AI, we're still bound by the realities of the physical world and our own human systems, right?
Sure, yeah.
So given those limitations, where does Amodei see AI having the most immediate, the most profound impact?
So he's incredibly bullish on the field of biology and healthcare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he basically argues that the history of medicine, it's been marked by this handful of massive breakthroughs. Think about things like the discovery of penicillin,
Right.
the development of vaccines,
Yeah.
or more recently, breakthroughs like CRISPR and mRNA technology.
And he thinks AI could make those kinds of breakthroughs happen a lot more often.
Exactly. So his argument is that these discoveries, a lot of times they could have happened sooner if we had just been, smarter. And AI could significantly accelerate that process. It could compress decades of potential progress into just a few short years.
Wow, and he actually uses the term compressed 21st century to describe that, right?
Right. He suggests that instead of 80 years of this gradual progress in biology and medicine, we could see the equivalent of a century's worth of advancements packed into just 5 to 10 years, thanks to AI.
Wow.
And the implications of that are pretty mind-blowing.
So let's talk about those implications then. What specifically does he envision happening in this compressed 21st century?
Yeah.
What kind of medical breakthroughs are we talking about?
Well, he paints this picture of a world where diseases that have just plagued humanity for centuries could be effectively eradicated.
Wow.
We're talking about the near elimination of infectious disease, dramatic reductions in cancer rates, cures for genetic disorders, and potentially even ways to prevent or reverse neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
That sounds almost too good to be true, though. I mean, eliminating those diseases would obviously be a game changer for human health and well-being.
It would.
But are there any downsides to this rapid acceleration of medical progress?
That's a great question.
Like, what are the potential ethical or social implications that he highlights?
Right, and that leads us to the next crucial point that Amodei raises, and that's this whole issue of accessibility and equity.
Okay.
So he acknowledges that even if AI delivers on this promise of these amazing medical breakthroughs,
There's a real danger that those benefits could be unevenly distributed. And that would exacerbate, existing inequalities that we have.
so it's not enough for AI to just develop these cures and these treatments.
Right.
We also need to make sure that they're available and affordable for everyone, regardless of their location or their socioeconomic status.
Absolutely. Amodei actually frames this as a moral imperative.
Yeah.
He argues that if the developing world is left behind in this AI-powered healthcare revolution, it would be just this colossal ethical failure.
Okay, so that's a critical point to consider.
Yeah.
And he seems to be acknowledging that AI is this really powerful tool
That is.
that could either make inequalities worse or could actually help to level the playing field.
For sure.
But how does he actually propose we ensure that these advancements benefit everyone? What concrete steps does he suggest we take?
Well, Amodei suggests kind of a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
One idea is to leverage AI's ability to really personalize medicine.
Tailoring treatments to an individual's genetic profile and lifestyle.
Oh, wow.
And this could make healthcare a lot more effective and efficient, potentially even driving down costs and increasing accessibility.
So it's not just about finding cures, it's about making those cures accessible
Yeah.
and affordable to everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about the economic implications of all of this? Like, if AI is developing cures for major diseases, doesn't that also mean it could disrupt entire industries?
Yeah.
Potentially displace millions of workers in healthcare and related fields?
Yeah, Amodei acknowledges that concern, and he suggests that AI will likely lead to some pretty significant economic and social disruption.
Okay.
He predicts that a lot of traditional jobs will become automated, potentially leading to unemployment and social unrest if we don't adapt.
So we're back to this idea of anticipating the potential downsides and figuring out how to mitigate them.
Right.
What specific solutions does he propose for managing this economic transition?
Well, he doesn't shy away from potentially radical changes that might be necessary.
Okay.
He discusses things like universal basic income, where everyone receives a guaranteed minimum income, regardless of whether they're employed or not.
That's a pretty big shift from our current economic model.
It is.
What's the reasoning behind that kind of proposal?
Well, the idea is that if AI is creating enough wealth to potentially eliminate things like poverty and scarcity,
Yeah.
we might need to rethink how we distribute that wealth, right?
Okay.
So a universal basic income could provide kind of a safety net for people who are displaced by automation
Okay.
and free them up to pursue things like education, retraining, or even entrepreneurial ventures.
That's a really interesting idea, but wouldn't it be incredibly expensive to implement?
Yeah, I mean, these are all valid questions, and Amodei doesn't claim to have all the answers. He acknowledges that these are really complex issues
Sure.
that are going to require a lot of societal debate and experimentation to figure out. And he even goes a step further and suggests that we might need to move towards a system where AI itself is managing resources
Wow.
and distributing them based on human needs and values.
So AI wouldn't just be creating wealth, it would be deciding how that wealth is allocated.
Yeah,
That's a pretty radical concept.
it is.
I mean, how would that even work in practice?
Right.
And how do we ensure that this AI-managed system is fair and equitable?
He admits that it's really hard to envision exactly how such a system would work. But he argues that we shouldn't dismiss these ideas out of hand.
Okay.
He believes that AI's potential to understand and optimize really complex systems, combined with our ability to program it with human values,
Yep.
could actually lead to a more just and equitable society than anything we've ever seen.
Okay.
So it's definitely a thought-provoking idea, even if it sounds a bit like science fiction at the moment.
It definitely pushes the boundaries of what we typically think about when it comes to economics and governance.
It-
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about another potential concern.
Okay.
Warfare.
Yeah.
Amodei's deeply involved in AI safety, so I imagine he's thought a lot about how AI could be used in military applications.
Yeah.
Does he address that in the essay at all?
He absolutely does, and he acknowledges the potential for AI to make warfare more dangerous and even destabilizing.
Okay.
He talks about the risks of autonomous weapons systems,
Right.
the potential for AI-powered surveillance to erode privacy,
Right.
and even just the possibility of AI being used to develop like more powerful and destructive weapons.
So how does he propose we mitigate these risks? Like, does he think we can actually prevent AI from being used for harmful purposes?
He's pretty realistic about the challenges,
Yeah.
but he does offer some potential solutions.
Okay.
One idea he proposes is what he calls an entente strategy,
Okay.
where democratic nations collaborate to gain kind of an early advantage in developing powerful AI, and then use that advantage to promote peace and stability globally.
So it's kind of like a carrot and stick approach, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like democracies would be leading the way in AI development,
Right.
but also using their technological advantage to deter aggression and promote cooperation.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
But how would AI actually be used to promote peace and stability?
Yeah.
What specific applications does he have in mind?
He suggests that AI could be used to monitor for potential threats, to improve diplomacy and conflict resolution,
yeah.
and even help to enforce international agreements. He also believes that AI could be a powerful tool for countering things like propaganda and disinformation,
Right.
which often fuel conflicts.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
So AI wouldn't just be a tool for military deterrence. It could also be used to promote understanding and cooperation between nations.
Exactly.
That sounds very much in line with his overall optimistic view of AI's potential.
Yeah, I think so.
But what about the potential for AI to be used by authoritarian regimes to strengthen their control and suppress dissent?
Right. He doesn't shy away from that concern either.
Okay.
He acknowledges that AI could be used for both good and bad purposes.
Sure.
And that authoritarian regimes might be tempted to use AI to kind of enhance their surveillance capabilities and suppress dissent.
Yeah.
However, he also suggests that AI could be a really powerful tool for promoting democracy and individual freedom as well.
Okay, but how would that work? How could AI actually be used to strengthen democracy?
He suggests that AI could be used to create more transparent and accountable government systems, to empower citizens with information and tools to hold their leaders accountable, and to really promote that free flow of information that can counter propaganda and censorship. He even believes that AI could be used to improve mental health and well-being,
Wow.
which he sees as being essential for promoting democratic values.
So AI could be both a threat to democracy and a potential tool for strengthening it.
It could.
It seems like a lot hinges on how we choose to develop and deploy this technology.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's shift gears one more time and talk about the implications of AI for our personal lives.
Okay.
This is a question that I think is on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
What happens to human purpose and work in a world where AI can potentially do almost everything better than us?
Right, and that's a big question,
It is.
and one that Amodei really grapples with in the essay.
Sure.
He acknowledges that AI will undoubtedly lead to some significant changes in the way we work and live.
Okay.
He predicts that many jobs will become automated, but he also believes that new jobs will emerge that we can't even imagine yet.
So it's not necessarily about like losing jobs, but
Yeah.
about adapting to a changing job market.
Exactly, yeah. And Amodei argues that humans will always have a role to play in the workforce,
Right.
even in an AI-powered world.
Okay.
And he suggests that we'll need to focus on developing skills that complement AI,
Okay.
such as creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and emotional intelligence.
So instead of competing with AI, we need to find ways to work alongside it.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about the question of purpose?
Right.
Like if AI is taking over many of the tasks that we currently find meaningful, what will give our lives meaning in the future?
That's a deeper question, and one that Amodei doesn't claim to have like a definitive answer to.
Sure.
However, he suggests that AI could actually free us to pursue more meaningful endeavors.
Interesting. Can you elaborate on that a bit? Like how could AI potentially free up our time and energy to pursue more meaningful activities?
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear more about this idea of AI, like liberating us to pursue more meaningful things.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of almost paradoxical, but I can see how it might work.
Yeah, so Amodei argues that AI could automate like a lot of the mundane and repetitive tasks that we all do
Yeah.
that kind of consume our time and energy. And that frees us up to focus on things that we actually find fulfilling.
Yeah.
He imagines a world where people have more time for creativity, for personal growth.
For building relationships and for exploring their passions.
So instead of being tethered to jobs that we may not even enjoy, we could have more time for things that like truly matter to us.
Yeah.
That's a pretty compelling vision.
It is.
But it also raises some questions, right?
It does.
Like, what about those who find meaning and purpose in their work?
All right.
Will there still be a place for like skilled labor and craftsmanship in an AI-driven world?
So Amodei believes that there will always be a demand for human skills and creativity, even in areas where AI is, highly capable.
Yeah.
He points out that AI is really good at following instructions and optimizing for specific goals, but it often lacks the ingenuity, the intuition, and the adaptability that humans bring to the table.
So we might see a shift towards jobs that require more uniquely human skills, like things like creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, like the kinds of things that are still really difficult for AI to replicate.
Yes, and Amodei suggests that we might even see kind of a resurgence of interest in skilled trades and craftsmanship as people seek out work that allows them to, express their creativity and connect with the physical world. And he also believes that there'll be this growing demand for jobs that require strong interpersonal skills, such as caregiving, teaching, counseling.
It sounds like he's envisioning a future where AI augments human capabilities rather than like replacing us entirely.
Right.
A future where we can leverage AI's strengths while still valuing and cultivating our own unique human qualities.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amodei is basically arguing for this symbiotic relationship between humans and AI, where each contributes their strengths to create a more fulfilling and prosperous society.
That's a much more optimistic vision than the dystopian scenarios we often hear about, where AI takes over and humans become irrelevant.
For sure.
But even in his optimistic vision, there's still a lot of unknowns, right?
There are.
Like, how do we actually prepare for this future?
Yeah.
What can we do as individuals and as a society to ensure that AI is used for good and that we all benefit from its potential?
Well, Amodei offers some concrete suggestions in the essay.
Okay.
He emphasizes the importance of investing in AI safety research to ensure that AI systems are aligned with human values and don't pose any unintended risks.
Yeah.
He also stresses the need for international cooperation to establish ethical guidelines for AI development and deployment.
Right, to prevent a harmful AI arms race from happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we need to be thinking about the ethical implications of AI from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Not just reacting to problems after they arise.
For sure.
And we need to work together as a global community to ensure that AI is used responsibly and for the benefit of all.
Right. And Amodei also believes that education is absolutely crucial here.
Okay.
We need to equip future generations with the knowledge and skills to understand AI, to work alongside it, and to shape its development in positive directions.
So it's not just about teaching people how to code or build AI systems.
Yeah.
It's about fostering like critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and a deep understanding of the potential impacts of this technology.
Yeah.
It's about empowering people to be active participants in shaping this AI-powered future rather than like passive bystanders.
Precisely. Yeah.
So Amodei's essay, it's almost like this call to action.
It is.
Urging us to embrace the potential of AI while also being really mindful of the risks and the challenges that it presents.
Yeah.
And he believes that with careful planning, thoughtful collaboration, and a commitment to human values, we can create a future where AI empowers us to live healthier, more fulfilling, and more meaningful lives.
I agree. I think his essay is this really important reminder that the future of AI is ultimately up to us.
Yeah.
It's a choice we make both individually and collectively.
Right.
And by choosing to embrace AI's potential while also addressing those risks and challenges, we can create a future that's truly worthy of that name, Machines of Loving Grace.
Well, it's been a fascinating deep dive into Amodei's vision.
It has.
His essay is both inspiring and thought-provoking.
Yeah, for sure.
It gives us this glimpse into a future where AI could really reshape our world in some pretty profound ways.
Yeah.
And, while there are certainly challenges to address, Amodei's optimism is kind of contagious.
It is.
It's a good reminder that the future is not predetermined.
Yeah.
And that we actually have the power to shape it in ways that benefit all of humanity.
Right. We do.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the potential upside of powerful AI.
My pleasure.
We hope this conversation has given you some food for thought and inspired you to be a part of shaping a positive AI-powered future.